Hello, friends. Um, I would like to talk about seeing through the world, but helping the world. Still, so this paradox of like, on the one hand, uh, as you know, I guess people into spirituality will tell you, which is actually the most practical thing in the world. If it seems like airy fairy, actually, you need to look into what that really means. Spirituality, basically, it means waking up to a higher level of awareness. Um, Higher than thinking, basically. Um, so seeing through the world, being like, okay, uh, yes, there's suffering and there's terrible things, but ultimately, it's sort of like a dream or a game, and or a movie, and the need to see through it and not take it so seriously. But then on the other hand, the but it really feels like it's important to help the world and to try to bring more love and less darkness, and so but well they seem contradictory, but so it's a paradox. So I'm just going to talk about that for a little bit. So it seems like a contradiction, but actually both are true, and so it's the paradox thing, right? So in summary up front, let's see. So say to people who are more like say like for example with me, like I ran for politics or ran for election in Ireland, local and then national elections last year, and so that was a good experience. But I kind of, upon reflecting on that, I'm now feeling like I don't know, maybe I'll do that in the future, but maybe not. And I'm definitely doing focusing on my creative stuff, like my writing, and that's how I think I can serve the world. Uplift consciousness. That helps everything. Um, but so it's made me think about this balance of like, should I put in the time, and should anyone or everyone be putting in the time to sacrifice for like you know politics or for volunteering, whatever, anything where you're trying to help the world, change things. Um, and or is it all just kind of like, oh, it doesn't really matter? So, in summary, I'd say yes. People who are into politics, right? Um, and they're trying to make improvements. I think, in general, those people should take it less seriously. Conversely, people into spirituality and stuff, uh, or just creative types kind of doing their own on their own path in life, they should probably take helping collective action, helping the world more seriously. So there's like the middle ground somewhere. And some people are already in balance, and so good for them. Um, but yeah, so let's say the politics thing. Basically, why, if you're in, let's say you're in Ireland where I am, and you're concerned about the fact that the government's completely rogue and, you know, like USAID stuff and like, kind of global empire. So there's like a massive oligarchy seemingly controlling things, and cultural, kind of seemingly almost cultural cleansing or something, like people who feel like, uh, like I love people everywhere, but I also feel like cultures have a right to be where they are, and immigration can be good, but you don't want to overdo it. You want to make sure that the local people are able to enjoy their culture and their traditions. It's a beautiful thing, and that's diversity in the planet. So you want balance, right? So there's people in Ireland who'll be like, "Oh, the government's completely rogue, and we need to, you know, fix things." So why would they take it? Why should they take things a bit less seriously and see it more like, oh, it's just a game or a dream? Well, three reasons. One is it's more practical to see it that way. Two is all the problems in the world. That's how we learn. It so it's like kind of teaching us. Earth is like this school, and then thirdly, there's probably, I believe, there's like a divine plan to all this. However exactly that works, I don't know. That's above my pay grade, but um, there is a sort of there's destiny and a divine hand in all this. So now, and then I'll go into what they mean, but firstly, summarize the other side. People who are into spirituality, or like in Ireland, there's a pretty strong, like rich community of people who are very aware, connected to the ancient traditions, the druidic stuff, and that's beautiful. And kind of reviving that more and more, and all around the world, wherever you are, there's this balance of things. Um, but some of them might be like feeling like, oh, politics, that's so dirty and beneath all of this. Like, I'm not going to sully my pearly white druid robes with all that muck of like conflict and, hey, it's all the flow of being, just let it go, just it's all good. And I think the thing is, you basically, in a nutshell, there, um, uh, you need to remember that it's a paradox. So, yes, ultimately everything's fine and there's no problems. But it's also true that everything's not fine and there actually are problems. And you have a responsibility. Like we're all connected. And if what hurts someone else is your business. It's your business to try to alleviate that suffering. And that's the paradox of like, the Buddha wasn't saying, yeah, everything's cool, just chill. He was saying, everything's cool, just chill. And let's have compassion for those in suffering and let's try to help them. Bodhisattvas coming back. Like, what's that all about? What are they doing if it doesn't matter? Right? So it's it's like on the ultimate level, there's different levels of analysis. On the ultimate level, everything's fine and, people being murdered and imprisoned and even raped and terrible things. On the highest level, this is all like a dream. Like if these things happen in a dream, it might be it's a nightmare. It's not very pleasant, but you don't really worry about it or judge it in the same light as you do when it's happening in waking reality. But ultimately, it is another type of dream. And so ultimately, everything is fine. There's no problem. But at the same time, there's these lower levels where it's also the opposite's true. And so I think people in spirituality, I would advocate kind of thinking about that and making sure you don't have a blind spot there, um, and that you actually are seeing both sides of the paradox to get your full picture. It's like 3D glasses, blue and red, two different perspectives, they create 3D, more dimensions, or two angles together, you create the 3D. So you've got the angle of everything's perfect, and then the angle of it's not perfect. It should be better. And together you get the full picture or fullest picture available to a human. Um, and so, uh, yeah, like uh, it really does matter if someone is teetering between fear and love. Do I open up with my friends and tell them what I think, or do I just put on a mask and pull away? And it's like that really matters, you know. Ultimately, you could say, "Oh, it doesn't really matter. It's all a dream," but no, that really matters, and it's a very important thing. Or someone um, does, someone stand up to a bully or not? Does someone protect a forest or not? These things actually matter on the human level. On another level, it doesn't really matter, But both, I think, if you just go one or the other, you're missing the answer, I think. And so, and then say people maybe not spiritual, kind of so to speak, people, whatever that means, but say like creative types or something. You're an artist or whatever, or um, you might, or just in general, you're about like living your life and enjoying yourself. And if it's like politics, yeah, or whatever, or if my country got invaded, or I'd be on the first train somewhere else, like I'm not getting involved in that madness. I got my life to live, my dreams, my happiness, my bliss. That's all really good and that's healthy to some extent, not to be like, wasting your, to focus on your happiness is important and not to waste your life on, foolish errands or whatever. But we're all connected, we're all one. And so what affects other people's happiness affects you. And if you really want to be following self-interest to the highest octave, the best way, it's when you realize you are everyone. And so what helps everyone, that's how you are ultimately the most selfish in like enlightened selfishness, like where you're helping yourself and you're helping others. And that turns out to be the same thing when you expand your awareness of who you really are. You're not just this one little person. You didn't create the brain, you didn't create the body, you didn't, you're not pumping the blood, you're not handling the digestion. This is all automatic. It's not you. Your body, every 7 years or something, all your cells are replaced. Your mind, personality is gradually changing constantly. So what of that is you? What's you is the consciousness. And that turns out to be universal. There's one consciousness, like one phenomenon called fire, but there could be many flames, many candles. So Jamie is a candle, the flame is the consciousness, and that's who I really am and who you are, and we're one, and that's love. So we should, yeah, follow your bliss and stuff, but like, uh, it actually makes sense. We have a responsibility, I would say, yeah, to kind of spread love, and then more importantly, an opportunity. Like it's just what feels good, Um, and yeah, so that would say like people who are, say, maybe a bit checked out of politics or they're not really paying attention to the news because it's like, oh, that's just propaganda. True. And it's like, just a bath in negativity. Like I don't really follow the news. Like I'll check in every now and then. I do follow the news, but like not like I don't read newspapers or like watch TV or something. I don't have a TV. But yeah, but I kind of check in strategically and just try to monitor history in motion, but yeah, maybe I should be paying more attention at this point. There's a lot going on. But anyway, um, but so and this is probably a point. This probably applies to me, right? Like that I should be, yeah, I'm on my journey with the kind of spiritual wisdom and my own creativity and all these sorts of things, just being with my family, enjoying life. But there's also this opportunity and even kind of duty to, as a knight in shining armor, ladies or men or whatever, to be part of the force of love. Someone's ringing my bell. That must be destiny. So I'll leave it there. The balance between these things. Oh yes. So why is it practical for the other side? Just to finish that, why is it practical to for people into politics to see it as like a dream? Because you'll relax. You go, okay, whatever happens, happens. I'll do the best I can do. So why should I? If I can't control something, it's like the thing Noah Epictetus talks about, or the Serenity Prayer. May I have the courage to control the things I can, the serenity to accept the things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. So all the things you can't control, just accept it, and you'll have more energy for the things you can control. So it's more practical. Learning, suffering shows us where we or other people or systems are out of balance. When things are not balanced, they're not in harmony, it's too much or too little of something quality, it causes damage, which causes pain, and that causes us to wake up a bit and go, what's going on here? And sooner or later, you trace it back. You go, I've got to get to the bottom of this. And it leads you to, oh, that's where something was out of balance. And so, yeah, I'd say that this is how it teaches us. So, how are we going to wake up as humans? Well, suffering is our teacher. And so, we don't want too much of it. We want to wrap things up as fast as possible, I'd say, to keep, because again, it really matters. You could say on one level, it doesn't matter if the earth gets destroyed, but then that's true. But there's another level which is equally real. Well, it's not ultimately real, but it's real to some extent, and it's real enough where it's like it really matters if we can triumph and have a beautiful, shining civilization of high technology balanced with reverence for nature, and we've gotten through this. We're all going to be so happy, and the universe will be happy, and it really does matter. So, wasn't there another thing? So, practicality, learning, and divine plan. Yeah, I'd say, it seems like the Big Bang didn't come out of nowhere, I'd say, but that's a whole other story. I won't get into that. But um, for those who would kind of think, yeah, that makes sense, um, keep that in mind, like there's bigger forces at play and this is a journey. And so let's not get too hubristic and think that it's all down to us. It is down to us to some extent, but I think we should also, for that reason, be aware of the bigger picture and have some kind of, go with the flow to some extent. So there are my musings on this paradox of seeing through the world while helping the world. So, Goramila Margweith, thanks, and see you later.